I warmly welcome you here from Jerusalem. Today, I am meeting a very well-known influencer. For those who don't know what an influencer is, it has nothing to do with the flu or influenza. It is someone who has a major influence, especially on young people. Welcome to another episode of Fascination Israel. He is one of the most well-known social media influencers in Israel, Hananya Naftali. For years, he has worked as a social media advisor to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. With hundreds of thousands of followers, he is a prominent pro-Israel spokesperson, fighting against anti-Semitism and disinformation.
So Hananya, we are here in Jerusalem in front of this wonderful and famous Damascus Gate. And the international community calls this place where we are at the moment East Jerusalem. The Bible is the book which made Jerusalem famous, and Jerusalem is mentioned more than 1,000 times in the Bible. East Jerusalem is not mentioned at all. Do you know, how did the term come about?
Well, after Israel declared independence in 1948, there was a war. Arab nations declared war on us, and they ended up taking what is now called East Jerusalem. And when we liberated this in 1967, we basically reunited East and West.
The famous Six-Day War, right?
Exactly, the famous Six-Day War. And by the way, today you see that there is a big argument about East Jerusalem being the capital of a future Palestine. And I have to say, at the end of the day, Jerusalem is one, and we have to keep it undivided capital of Israel. And actually, Israel is also working within the frames of international law. I have to say, wherever you dig in this city, you can find Jewish history, Roman history, Greek history, but you will not find Palestinian history because the term Palestine was invented after this nationality all of a sudden came to life after the Six-Day War. All of a sudden, when we reunited this city, they wanted and to claim this as their own. But this is not how things work.
You mentioned international law. But this is actually the excuse which the United Nations and the world community always are using according to international law. So who is right?
First of all, a lot of the United Nations, the International Court of Justice, the ICC, they forget one thing. Justice, the values of justice are actually coming from the Bible. The values of making distinguish between good and evil, it's coming from the book of the Jewish people. So we are upholding the highest standards of international law. And I actually, whenever I speak with Arabs here in East Jerusalem, I have Arab friends here in East Jerusalem, they tell me, we are so happy to be under the rule of the Israelis. And actually, there was a poll that asked Arabs living in East Jerusalem, would you rather live under Palestinian control or Israeli control? And I think that the number stood at a high percentage, definitely over 80, that said we want to be under Israeli control. Why? Because we treat them equally.
So Hananya, in September 25 this year, an independent commission of the United Nations Human Rights Council accused Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. The commission based it on the Genocide Convention, which was adopted in 1948, right? And this was a response to the atrocities actually of the committed genocide by the Nazis in the Third Reich. How do you see that? Is Israel committing a genocide in the Gaza Strip?
Look, you need to go back to the definition of what does a genocide mean. And a genocide actually means that you want to eliminate a group of people. We are in this war that just ended for 2 years, right? And we can all agree that Israel has the capability to destroy all of Gaza in 2 days. And yet here we are 2 years after, and you still see that we are in this conflict. And it really shows you that Israel has no interest to eliminate whatsoever the Palestinian people. We do not have a problem with Palestinian people. And I say this as an Israeli. We have a problem with those that want to annihilate us.
But the big problem is that the respectable United Nations brought out this term that Israel is committing genocide. I mean, we have to believe the United Nations. So what can we do?
Well, it's the same United Nations that also cast the doubts about the Jewish historical connection to Jerusalem. We have to remember that the United Nations was actually established with pure intent to prevent another genocide from happening and to make sure that there is no another world war. But unfortunately, it lost its moral compass. Now the United Nations, they have a clear political agenda that they serve. And you see this, they pass resolution after resolution against Israel while turning a blind eye to suffering of Iranian people, Syrian, North Korea, China, Russia, to the United Nations. When there are no Jews involved, there are no news. When they cannot blame the Jewish people for perpetrating anything, then to them this is not news and they don't focus on that. We are just now seeing how Christians are being targeted in Sudan, in Nigeria, across African countries. And you see not a single tweet, not a single word, not a single resolution. This is double standards and this is pure hypocrisy. You know, because we, a nation that extends its hand for peace several times, are accused of genocide. But then you see the other side that says, we want to destroy you and we could do it, we would do it again and again and again if we could. So what do you expect Israel to do? The same thing that every sane nation would do, protect their people.
the so-called two-state solution, that would mean we couldn't stand here, right? Because it would be Palestine. And as far as I understand, if the two-state solution will come, every Jew would have to leave the so-called West Bank. Is that correct?
That's correct. I strongly oppose the two-state solution. I think that this was never about states. It was never about land. It was about one thing: Jews living in their land. Because if it was about establishing Palestine, why didn't they do it when the Jordanians controlled this part of the country, East Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria? Why didn't they do it back then? When the Egyptians controlled the Gaza Strip, why didn't they give them Palestine? Look, it's just all one excuse. The same old anti-Semitism is just now appearing in the disguise of, hey, it's just Israel that's been the problem. Before Israel, we had wonderful relationship. This is one big lie. I asked a friend of mine that came from Gaza to Israel, and he converted to Judaism, and I asked him, what is your people's problem with us? And he told me, it's not about land. They're not interested in land. In his words, an Arab Palestinian from Gaza, he told me, even if you take your bag and leave this country, they will go after you and kill you there because they have a problem with Jews. It's same anti-Semitism. And the two-state solution, it will never solve anything. And if you look at the facts, actually most of Jordan, they identify as Palestinian. Their flag is almost the same. So if you ask me, Jordan is Palestine, and actually also in accordance with with history when it was Transjordan that was divided by the British. If we go back to the UN partition plan that said one state for the Jewish people, one state for the Arab people.
You're talking about 29th of November 1947.
Exactly, and we agreed. Of course, it was not ideal for us, but we really wanted to establish ourselves in our ancestral homeland. So we said yes. And I have a question. Do you know any ethnic group or national group that aspires to have their own state, and yet they say no to every offer that is proposed to them? So it's clearly they are not interested in a state. They don't want a state next to Israel. They want a state instead of Israel. And they, quite frankly, they're not ashamed in saying it very clearly. Hamas is saying they want to destroy all of Israel, all the Jews, and you cannot make peace with radicalism. You cannot coexist with radicalism. But we have to make a difference between people that want to live in peace and those who want to destroy us. And actually, they are also the enemy of the Palestinian people.
How can Christians support Israel, support a country who is killing children? This is what we hear in the media.
Yeah, this is a ridiculous accusation against Israel. I think that Christians should actually ask themselves, how can, not just a Christian, how can a human being support a terrorist organization like Hamas? But as an Israeli, I don't feel hate in my heart for Palestinians. I believe in love, I believe in peace, but we also cannot be delusional. You cannot make peace with Hamas, you cannot make peace with those who don't agree with your right to exist. And it's actually not biblical. We need to remember God is a God of love, He's a God of mercy, but He's also a God of justice, and He's a God of war. He doesn't ask us to make peace with evil, He asks us to uproot evil, like He asked the Israelites to uproot the Amalek.
Let us talk about the last 17 or 18 years where amazing financial support came at first from the United States and Germany. Germany's financial support for the UNRWA, it was more than, I have here the numbers, more than 913 millions in the last 2 years. What do you say about that?
I'm sorry to say that this money that German taxpayers paid is very likely to have ended up in the hands of Hamas. You know, the cost of one Hamas tunnel is roughly $3 million. And with all the money that they received along the years, they could have made Gaza look like Dubai. But the reason that Gaza does not look like Dubai is because they use the money for terror. They used it to build an underground city. They did not use it to improve the lives of Palestinians.
They said that UNRWA is infiltrated with Hamas. Is that true?
It is true. And we saw that. There is clear evidence that, they also filmed themselves. UNRWA teachers participated in this massacre. People that are supposed to teach young children. They participated in this massacre. So how can we trust an international organization that its employees participated in a massacre against us? October 7th was the deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. More Jews died in a single day since the Holocaust. So if that were to happen to any nation, you would hope that they would take action. But I also have to say that German people, they need to know that they have a responsibility to say, we don't agree to this blind hate. Never again means today, it means now. If we stay silent today, history will not forget those that sided with Hamas, with those that want Israel destroyed.
What does the term mean, which you hear in Germany, in Switzerland, in Austria, in all European countries, free Palestine? We hear it actually since October 7th, 23 on a weekly basis.
You know, Palestine has already been freed, and its original name is restored to Israel. The name Jew, the term Jew, stems from Judea, from this land. So first of all, if they want to free anything, it's actually Jewish land that is being occupied right now by Palestinians. You know, Hebron used to be a Jewish city. Now it's predominantly Arab. Nablus. You look at other cities in Judea and Samaria that used to be predominantly inhabited by Jews. So if anyone speaks of occupation, let's speak about the Arab occupation of Jewish lands. But at the end of the day, those people that chant free Palestine from the river to the sea, ask yourself, what do they want to free Palestine from? From Jews. That's their one and only goal. And for me, it's just sad to see that there are so many people that are going after that without really understanding what they're chanting about. Actually, this is an anti-Semitic chant, because if you ask them, what do you want to free Palestine from? From the river to the sea, we are right now standing between the river and the sea. This is from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. It's all of Israel. Just like I said, they say it themselves, they want to free Palestine from, they want all of the country. They don't want a part of it.
Jerusalem was reunited in 1967. So everyone could come to this place. It was not possible before 67. Now we are standing here, and in the background we see this wonderful Arab people going to the old city. We see Christians here coming to the old city. So Israel made it actually possible that everyone can visit Israel.
Exactly. It is thanks to Israel that created this umbrella of security and safety for Jews, Christians, and Muslims. If you come here during the Ramadan, you see tens of thousands that go and pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third holiest site for the Muslims. And you see Christians that come here, the Holy Fire ceremony. You can see Christians that walk freely. When this was not under Israeli sovereignty, you did not really see that. Actually, when the Jordanians took over this part of town, this part of our capital, and when we had this war, so they actually also set on fire and destroyed synagogues. You don't see Israel doing that, but the problem that now the international community and maybe young people in Germany have with Israel is because they see Israel as a strong country and the Palestinians as weak people. But I have to remind everybody that just because Israel is strong does not make us the aggressor, and just because Hamas is losing does not make them the victim. And we have to remember that.
So in the Holy Land, there were Jewish Palestinians, there were Christian Palestinians, and Arab Palestinians. Why is this term now only used for Arab Palestinians?
That's a good question because most people don't know this. That, like you said, there were Jewish Palestinian, there were Arab, there were Christian, Muslim. The PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, redefined this name in 1964, and they kind of stole this term to basically refer to only their group of people. But you need to look at the origin of the name Palestine. It actually comes from the root word in Hebrew, palash, to invade. So actually, this is not a good name that you want to claim if you wish to say that you are indigenous to this land. But today we see that the Palestinians of today, they have nothing to do with the Philistines in the Bible or with the Canaanites that are also mentioned in the Bible. This is a new invention that came to be in modern history.
On September 22nd this year, 2025, and also on September 15, a high-level international conference, co-chaired actually by France and Saudi Arabia, was held in the United Nations headquarters in New York to revive efforts towards a two-state solution. And it was interesting, 157 states, they recognized Palestine as a sovereign state. What do you think about that?
I think that no resolution, you can have 1,000 conferences, you can have 1,000 resolutions. It is not going to change history. This is the land of Israel. If you want to find a solution, we are all for it. But this is a fact that we offer the Palestinians many solutions throughout the years. You had prime ministers like Olmert and Ehud Barak that offered almost all of Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, and still they said no. So you have to ask yourself, what are the Palestinians after? What are the Palestinians after? And they are not after a state. What they are really after is to kick us out of our homeland. This is what they're after. Look, I'm willing to respect and to call them by this invented name, in my opinion, but I demand the respect back. And the fact that we saw nations that in this war of survival that we are fighting, facing 7 different fronts, the 8th front, if you include the media war. And that's when countries decided to recognize Palestine. Let me translate what we Israelis perceive this as. Hamas attacked, Hamas kidnapped, Hamas butchered, and then they receive a gift from the international community that said, you should keep going because this is what's giving you results. And actually, we saw Hamas officials that congratulated these efforts to recognize Palestine, and they said this is because of our war on the Jews. That finally the world is giving us a state. But then you have to keep in mind they are not after a state. They're after killing Jews.
But I think everyone wants a solution, a good solution, a solution of peace. What would be the solution in your eyes?
I think that it's not a good idea to push people out of their homes. I'm against doing that, and it's also against the values of Judaism, that we believe in preserving life. I think the key to end this conflict is education. When you keep educating young people, next generation, to keep hating Jews and to want to see the land free from Jews, then you don't break this cycle of hate. Education is key to end the conflict, but also, practically speaking, we need to find some arrangement that keeps Palestinians where they are. They have homes here, and we don't have a problem with those who want to live in peace with us, but we do have a problem with those who want to kick us out. That's a problem. But you see, the UN, the international community, they have a problem with Jews building homes in Judea and Samaria, and they say that this is an obstacle to peace. What's an obstacle to peace is killing people, not building homes for Jewish families.
What do you say about almost 2 million Arabs living here in the land with an Israeli passport? You have peace with them, right? And you
Exactly.
work together with them.
So this is something that a lot of people don't know. You know, Israel, we are roughly 10 million people, and about 21% of the population, they are Arab, with the majority of them being Muslim, and they serve in the court, they serve in the Knesset, in our parliament, they serve as police officers, as judges, so we only have one passport, we only have one ID. There is no Class A and Class B citizen. And it's all happening under the flag of Israel. Now, if you look at what's happening under the flag of Palestine, it's a whole different story. We cannot go to Palestinian cities. If I enter a city like Nablus or Hebron, I could be lynched to death. Palestinians with the right permits can come and work in Israel. Before this war, we had over 100,000 Palestinians coming to work in Israel every day. So if we are so bad, why do they keep coming and working with us and wanting to do business with us? Because they know the truth.
So what would be your final sentence for our viewers?
Look, I think that the conflict is very complicated to understand. You have Judea and Samaria, then you have Gaza, and then you have all kinds of things. You need to agree that Israelis have the right to live in security and safety, and they have the right to defend themselves. And also Palestinians, they have the right to live in security and in safety. Actually, we never go and attack them. This is not the reality. But I wish for people to understand that we are just like you guys. We want to live in peace. I want to my future family to grow here in peace. I don't want any more conflict. I served in the army. I was stationed along the borders. We would much rather be at home with our families than to be on the border. But we understand that if we don't do this job of defending ourselves, no one is going to do it for us. And at the end of the day, truth is destined to win. Now we live in a world full of lies, but the lies, they don't have roots. Truth is the one has roots. And we know how this story is going to end. And the Christians that are watching us, I want them to know that God did not change. And it's gonna be difficult before it's gonna get easier. But I do want to say thank you to those who woke up and those who decided to take a bold stand for truth. And God sees people's hearts, and He also sees Israel's heart. Israel is not perfect. No country is perfect. But at the end of the day, standing with Israel is standing with God's heart. That's what it comes down to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best and peace and God's blessing.
Thank you.
Israel is a country that wants to live in peace. Hananya Naftali and the Jewish people he represents not only dream of a colorful, diverse, and vibrant society, above all, they long for a life of security and normality. In its constant struggle for existence, Christians in particular should stand firmly by Israel's side and not lose sight of biblical truths. Dear viewers, the source of our news is crucial, and I would like to encourage you to carefully examine where you get your information about Israel. For this reason, I believe that voices like Hananya Naftali are immensely important. Ultimately, one can only truly understand Israel through the book of books, the Bible. And I would like to encourage you to make the Bible your most important book. Thank you for joining us today. As always, I bid you farewell with a heartfelt shalom.